Hey everyone, Tony D and Little Joan here on this rainy Thursday afternoon. And we're making videos. Joan is chilling out. Can't go anywhere today, can you, Joan? Who could go anywhere anyway during this crisis? But for this video, I thought I'd talk about this particular article. Gives you a little insight into the Hollywood mindset when it comes to politics. I've said to people for years that, the thing that's obvious to anyone who follows any kind of politics anywhere, Hollywood runs very left. It runs so left, so far left. And this article supports that. It says, from Deadline, Dominic Patton and Ted Johnson. It's a pretty long article. I won't read the whole thing, but Joe Biden's VP pick. Hollywood torn as town ponders its preferred choice to take on Trump and Pence. So listen to just that headline, right? It's a given. All of Hollywood is against Trump and Pence. All of Hollywood is waiting for Biden to pick his VP. And they call this an exclusive. I kind of don't know why. When it comes down to who Joe Biden selects, says the article, as his running mate against Donald Trump and Mike Pence, Hollywood power players are split between their hearts and their heads. Such a funny opening. With the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee promising back in March that he would choose a woman for the job, Senator Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, and Amy Klobuchar are seen as the leading contenders, along with almost Georgia Governor Stacey Abrams. Oh, excuse me. Amid other names, there is a moonshot ticket of Biden and Obama reunion, albeit with different Obama. Yeah, that is a moonshot take. I mean, I don't think that would be a good thing. Again, Michelle Obama, if she really wanted to do it, she would run for some congressional seat or senator seat, just like Hillary did. And she wouldn't have to be in office that long to be able to run, but at least if she was in office. The best job, I think, for president is governor. Governors, I think, basically do what presidents do, except on a smaller scale, and except they don't do foreign policy. But they do, they deal with a legislature. They deal with a judicial system. They make policy. They run a state just like the president runs the country. And they get access to the federal government and how they do things and how the states do things. And I think that's a real important bit of resume material when picking a president. Now, Trump didn't have that, but, he did run a big company in New York real estate. So that has its benefits. Michelle Obama, I mean, she's a nice enough person, I guess, and she's been the first lady, but first ladies don't set policy. The closest thing we had to that was Hillary Clinton, and no one liked her. And I think one of the reasons they liked Michelle Obama, because she was a first lady. She didn't try to be the co-president, kind of like Hillary did. Hillary was always in the mix, even before the scandals. Hillary was always sticking her nose in, and they always had to tell her to back off. And it was a weird time for a first lady. She was a very unlikable first lady. Michelle Obama was really, really liked. That doesn't mean she's a good president or a good policymaker or even a good debater. I mean, you get her on stage with Trump, she may just fall to pieces. Who knows? It's just not her time. Now, like I said, give her some experience. Just get her elected somewhere. I'm sure she could get elected almost anywhere in the United States, except for a couple of hard red states. But most of those are sparsely populated anyway. So, as far as the other picks, I mean, Governor Stacey Abrams, she didn't win the governorship, and they call her almost Governor Stacey Abrams. She's not a governor. she was in the legislature, I believe, but she wasn't a governor. And Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, and Amy Klobuchar are all senators, so that's something. But out of those three, I mean, Kamala Harris is the worst one. She brings nothing to the table. She's from California. They're going to win California anyway. She is very unlikable, extremely unlikable, and she got her butt handed to her. Elizabeth Warren was at least in it to the end, even though she didn't win. She was beating Biden in at least one poll for like 1 week. Amy Klobuchar, I think, is probably the best choice in terms of likability. Elizabeth Warren wasn't very likable and has a ton of baggage. Amy Klobuchar doesn't have much baggage, and I don't know much about her voting record, but she seems at least neutral enough that people would be okay with her. They wouldn't have a lot of stuff to bring up. So I think out of those four, Amy Klobuchar would be the one. But let's go down a bit here. And they're talking to anonymously all these big money donors. Here's one. My heart is with Elizabeth Warren, says a longtime denizen of the big bucks Hollywood fundraiser circuit who gave generously to Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton's past campaign. Elizabeth Warren would be a great pick, would unify the party, and would be a great president in her own right. Says another politically active filmmaker about the Massachusetts senator, whose policy appeal to the progressive instincts of many in Hollywood donor class. I don't know why this person would say that. She's a very divisive figure within the party. On the national stage, forget it. And you could just forget about states with high Native American populations ever voting for her. She will lose big swaths of those votes after her, And don't kid yourself about the progressives. They remember what she did. That's not as bad as Joe Biden, but geez, that's a pretty big lie to be hobbled with amongst the progressives. And Trump is just going to call her Pocahontas and it's over. Well, she won't be debating Trump, obviously, but and again, it's just dumb to, we're going to elect the first woman president. Here's how we're going to do it. We're going to get Joe Biden, the oldest guy in the world, to run and then step out after a week. I mean, come on. About Kamala Harris. In fact, unlike the mega donings shunning Warren, Harris is so close to the Star Wars director and the Bad Robot co-CEO that the duo could be poised to rocket her to the top tier of the Hollywood political hierarchy as heirs to the Jeffrey and Marilyn Katzenberger if Harris was to get the VP gig. And that was... that I think they're talking about J.J. Abrams, right? Yeah, J.J. Abrams and... Yeah, I mean, J.J. Abrams, I don't know if new Star Wars is a group you want to align with right now. Yeah, that's super woke and wonderful, and that plays well on Twitter. I mean, these are the same audiences over and over again. Kamala Harris, California, Hollywood, Star Wars, super woke Star Wars, all the woke people in Hollywood. I mean, how many times are you going to win these people over? There's other people in the country other than people in Los Angeles and California, right? There's people in this state called Kansas, and that's in the middle of the country. It's where Superman's from. And you could maybe try to tune into them, because I don't think your woke ideology is going to play very well in the sticks. And good luck going there pretending like you're not super woke and pretending like you haven't said all this woke nonsense and pretending like the footage of you getting trashed by Tulsi Gabbard isn't going to play over and over again. Kamala Harris. On CNN this week, Abrams was in full lawyer loyal soldier mode, offering a passionate defense of Biden against accusations of sexual assault by a former Senate staffer, Reid. Yeah, I mean, that's good for within the party, I guess, but how's that going to play with women across the spectrum? Not well. Not well at all, especially now, especially because you morons will be negating one of the major arguments you have against Trump. Oh, he's so terrible to women. Well, what about Biden? Well, so good luck selling that. I mean, you just make yourself look like a hypocrite at this point. It's sad. It really is. And here is... Yeah, I mean, Harris, after her first debate attack on Biden over his decades-old position on school busing, some are concerned that there's too much bad blood, even though Harris has been an enthusiastic surrogate for the expected nominee since endorsing him on March 8th. Yeah, you don't think Trump's people are going to dig up that footage? You guys really need a lesson from optics, and until the people, and it's so weird to see people in Hollywood not understand that, because you guys are obsessed with image, and normally when it comes to your products, when it comes to your celebrities, you're great with that, but for some reason you're completely blinded by ideology when it comes to politics. These people are not necessarily the best picks optically either, because what you need is someone who would appeal. First, you need somebody young. That's number one. So Elizabeth Warren is just a dumb pick. She's too old. There would be two old people on the ticket. You don't want that. The other three, yes, women of color, okay. That does not necessarily win you over the marginalized people of the United States. Just because you have a black candidate doesn't mean you get the black vote. Not in this day and age. Not against a guy like Trump, who's been great on the economy, who has created a great deal of employment amongst black and Latino voters. These people are going to remember that, and you are just coming out saying, well, look, I'm black, vote for me. That is pandering, pure and simple. So you need someone with some real policy ideas, and someone who is not woke, because the middle of the country isn't woke, okay? I know you like to think everybody who's important is woke, but the vast majority of people are just normal, and they're not obsessed with how many people of what race are at work, or how many women there are, or all that stuff. That's not... most people just go about their lives. They leave people alone. They're fine with everybody as long as they're fine with them. And that's the way people live. The people who are crazy and woke are these people on Twitter. They're ridiculous. And they're a very, very tiny vocal minority. And unfortunately, when it comes to Hollywood, they just haven't learned that lesson. I know from firsthand, applying to work at certain comic book companies, they asked me what my Twitter following was, as if that had any relevance whatsoever. I mean, who cares if I even have a Twitter account? Twitter does not translate into much. It really doesn't. And quite frankly, a lot of the social platforms have a lot of problems with bots. You don't even know how many people that are following you are real or even active. I just got a couple of follows from accounts that are just products. One was dating for disabled, right? So they followed me, and I looked at it, and I'm like, well, I'm not disabled, and I don't want to see this company's messages in my feed, so I'm not going to follow them back. But they're following me, and they have an account, and I don't know, the business, maybe it'll do well, maybe it'll fold. They'll be my follower for years to come, because nobody's going to bother to go in there and unfollow me, right? They're trying to build up following for their product. So that's one of many, many, many followers that I have, and you probably have too, that are they're just products. I follow Tasty Cake. I think they follow me. They probably do. These are just products. They're not people, and they're not going to, unless they go out of business and Twitter deletes their account, which won't happen for years after they're inactive. Then you have all these followers that don't mean anything. Twitter purged a bunch of fake accounts excuse me, years ago. But, those were the joke accounts. Like somebody would pretend to be Batman and run a Batman account, or a God and be God account, whatever. And they get bored with it, and, they have fun for a while, and then they get bored, and they stop doing it, and it gets canceled, and or they delete it. Those are essentially non-accounts. I have 2 accounts. I have one for myself and one for the Webcomic Factory. So and I have the Webcomic Factory following me because I want to see how my posts look to other people. So look, that's the way it is. That's the way Twitter is. That's the way all social platforms are. So you have all these fake accounts following each other, and they don't mean anything. And you got literally thousands of them. And if you're one of these Twitterati who are obsessed with their Twitter following, and all day long you're on Twitter trying to get followers, trying to get people to follow you back, there are services to buy followers. There are people who just troll the internet all day looking for more and more. Those accounts are meaningless followers. Some of them unfollow you. Some of them just mute you. So, Hollywood, you've got to get off this Twitter nonsense. This has driven the Democratic Party into picking people who aren't even going to help you in business. What we need out in LA is we need a situation in California which is more advantageous to businesses. Look at the porn industry. The porn industry has been driven out of Southern California because they had to micromanage it. They micromanage it right out of the state. And now, with the technology, you can shoot porn anywhere. You don't have to be in Southern California. Just probably have to be in a warm place because people are usually naked. So you can move to Florida. You can move to, I think they all moved to Nevada, which is a smart place because pretty much anything goes in Nevada, right? So they don't need you anymore. And bye-bye. There goes all that tax base that you desperately need. Stop this. Pull back. Draw some lines. Draw some limits. And don't push this guy up. It's just sad. It's just really sad, Hollywood. Stop virtue signaling for 10 seconds and think about your politics for once.